Is this the year you promised yourself you were going to write that book you've always wanted to do, but now you're stuck? I want to tell you, it's not your talent, your time, or your idea. Get this part right, and finishing that novel is inevitable. Hi, I'm Robin Christine DiMarco. I'm the author of 30 novels, and frequently when people ask me what I do and I tell them I write novels, they say, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or "I want to do that," or "I've started a novel, but I don't know what to do next." And the unsettling fact is that roughly 97% of people that begin their novel never finish. And that's sad because we all have a story to tell. And when we sit down to write, we start full of excitement. We can't wait to go. And then we hit a roadblock and something else derails us, and that novel just gets put away and left. On top of that, we couple it with that good old friend self-doubt. So what I want to do today is I want to take a few minutes and just talk through what makes the difference. Why is it that some people can finish that novel, no problem, and others will struggle? When most people sit down to write their novel, they want inspiration. They're looking for that idea out of the blue to hit and to just let it run and go with that. The problem with that is it's inconsistent, that those ideas don't hit all the time. And when they do hit, it may not be at the most opportune time, or the idea only lasts for a finite amount of time, and then you're stuck trying to figure out what happens to the rest of the novel. When people go into writing a novel in this way, what happens is they don't have a real roadmap to get them from the start to the finish. And without that information, it's a very treacherous journey to make. The next thing that I think a lot of people are missing when they sit down to write that novel is the accountability. They're not being held accountable by anybody to actually continue to work on that novel. And last, there's no urgency involved. If I don't finish it, well, it was a nice dream. So here's the reality. When the people that actually finish it, those 3% that actually will finish that novel, they have things that are in common amongst that group. And the first is they always have a plan. Now, some of these plans are very different from each other. Some are very rigid, some are very flexible. But you have to have a plan that fits you. The next thing to remember is writing a novel is not a sprint. This is the marathon. I like to use an analogy of, if I asked you to walk 300 miles, could you do it? And most people would say, "Robin, 300 miles? Are you kidding me? 300 miles? No way." But what if I asked you to walk a single mile every day? In 1 year, you've walked 365 miles. You've met the 300-mile goal. And this is kind of where writing is. It's not about sitting down for, 8, 10, 12, 14 hours to write. It's about taking a little step every day and making the progress on your book. I tend to find that you'll do better if we do it in small, bite-sized pieces rather than sitting down trying to put hours at a time in. And there's multiple reasons here. First of all, when you do a short segment, you only have to focus for a very finite amount of time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. And most of us can find a little bit of time during the day to work on it, to keep moving our novel forward. And this is in contrast with people that try to sit down and write for an hour at a time or block out large amounts of time. We don't have that in our schedules. We're busy people. We all are. So, what do we find is better is to work in very short sprints. And I'll be honest, I work in 5-minute sprints. That's how I've written 30 novels with 5-minute sprints. And the other thing is, in those 5 minutes, all I'm doing is focusing on my novel. I'm not thinking about, did I take the dogs out for a walk yet? I'm not thinking about what I'm cooking for dinner. I'm not thinking of any of those. I'm only focusing on what am I doing for those 5 minutes in my novel. What is my character doing? What happens next? And that's a phrase you're going to hear me repeat over and over and over. What happens next? I'll ask myself that question, and that'll continue to push me forward. If you're interested in seeing how I go about this process, I'd invite you to check the link below or the website on the screen and sign up for my free mini course. It's a 3-video series, and it walks you through the basic steps of how I go through the process of creating my characters, my worlds, and how I write. In the next video, we're going to take a little bit of time and talk about the exact process I use. But you can get a jump start on it with that 3-part series. We'll see you there.